if you took the communities in America that had made the least gains since 2008, since the crisis, and you mapped where Donald Trump performed most strongly in the election, it's almost an identical overlap.
What I think happened with Hillary, we had a divided primary in Democrats against Bernie Sanders, who had, again, a very simple message, which was essentially, you know, the man is screwing us. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump was working that same message on the right.
It was a strategic catastrophe of the largest proportions. Right. It was bad polling that wasn't showing them this disconnect. It was a failure of her to articulate the kind of message that was needed in this time. And it was their failure, and this, I think, definitely is the biggest weakness, was they never took him seriously. And
we'll get into his use of Twitter. I consider him a Twitter genius on many levels, and I don't hand out that compliment that often.
In fact, I just read something the other day where everybody at Twitter thought they were working for Bernie Sanders. What they didn't realize was that they were actually working for Donald Trump.
First thing was, oh, he's a clown. Then it was, oh, he can't win. And then like, okay, maybe he could win, but he can be controlled. And now it's like, oh my fucking God, he's going to do whatever he wants.
He has reinvented the American political process. He's 10 steps ahead of the media. We can't get ahead of the disruption he's causing. And basically, he's creating the game as he goes along. Don't expect him to change that. Don't expect him to stop tweeting. Don't expect him to stop doing unexpected, outrageous things.
So if you were trying to oppose him, one of the things I've noticed about the Democrats is they get all, I can't believe he said that. Like every time, like, I can't believe he did that. I can't, and then they get righteous, hair on fire, and it results in the same thing. But there's no effective answer except to, same thing with the media, shocked. One of the things he does really well, I thought was fascinating, is he'll name some really fucking crazy person, like Sarah Palin is gonna be head of this. And then all the media goes, ah, Sarah Palin, because she's like the goblin of US politics, essentially. And then he picks someone else who's only marginally less offensive. And we're like, oh, thank God it's not Sarah Palin.
Well,
all
that's
the time.
big journalism question. Should you cover his tweets?
Yes, of course you should.
I think you should.
You have to. He's the president-elect.
There's two issues. One, really, the only way to end a crisis is to move through it. So there is no substitute for Democrats and people who are opposing what's happening in Washington to actually do the hard work of going into these communities, coming up with alternatives, really understanding what it was that brought us to this point. I think you'll see what we call in Washington triangulation, where Democrats are pushing Trump to work against the Republicans in Congress on issues that working people actually agree with, that the Republicans haven't been for.
Essentially, work with them and trip them if you can.
Work with them and trip them if you can.
We're going to need to find a way to articulate a positive vision about growth, about optimism, about change, about the future, about how we're going to vest people in the economy that the left wants to build, and return to a more progressive vision for that party.
People are expecting media to hold him back. People are expecting them to challenge him in every single way. The New York Times sends 10 reporters here, this, that, or whatever. That's not going to work.
He cares about the media in a way that we have not had a president care about the media in, I don't know, in all of my years in Washington. And he's accessible that way.
So you're essentially saying we have a twitchy teenage girl as the president of the United States.
No question.
What if he is the most effective media commentator of our time, and we're just sitting here, and definitely people in my profession, who refuse to accept that the paradigm has changed? Why he mastered Twitter is because he understood it was the most effective trolling mechanism, and that's basically what its highest, best use is in a candidacy.
I need a reporter to stop saying you're a liar and start talking about why it matters. I think that the thing to do to succeed in the resistance, as it were, is to be willing to stay in it.
Yeah.
To stay in it, to not get distracted when he's tweeting about Meryl Streep.